Watch this space. There will be an Irish winner in the next 4 or 5 years, I hope.
All right.
I hope you're looking at him.
Hang on. Let me just... Okay, so Austin O'Connor becomes the first Irish winner of a 5-star in 58 years. Just the best news ever.
Everyone's crying.
The emotion, I'm crying, you're crying.
Just put his life into this sport, and to have, like he said, a life's work showcased just at the right time.
Yeah, people like me, we're not supposed to win 5 stars, but hey, it's just happened, I think. Look, ultimately, it's all about the horse. He's unbelievable. He's been a champion for years. And privately, I was prepared to give him to somebody better because I felt he deserved to win a 5-star, and I didn't think I could ever win one with him. But here we are.
It is clear all the way. He's done it.
For Ireland, Austin O'Connor, Colorado Blue.
Our top 3, Austin O'Connor for Ireland.
And this is going to be his time to really say, hey, look, I'm here, and we are one of the best combinations.
I'm Austin O'Connor, an Irish 3-day event rider preparing for my 4th Olympic Games. My first memory of working or being with horses and ponies is probably this scar on the right hand side of my chin, which was a little Shetland called Foxy, who I told off and he told me off in a stronger way. In my early career, my, I suppose, heroes, influences as a child would have been probably Eddie Macken and Paul Dara, who were iconic figures in the world of show jumping in the late 70s, early 80s. They gripped the imagination of the nation, and they certainly gripped my imagination of, being a 5 or 6 year old boy. You dreamt about being one of these people, or you dreamt about Olympic Games, I guess. Did I think it would ever become a reality? Probably not at the time. I suppose the turning point, or when I started first thinking that I was going to make a career out of horses and eventing, was probably a horse called Clonmalt, who I was lucky enough to have as a 13, 14-year-old boy and made a junior team, and I guess having done that, it sort of set my path really. My first breakthrough at the top end of the sport would have been when I was 4th in badminton in 1999 on a mare called Simply Rhett. I certainly wouldn't say that I'd made it, but it certainly opened up doors and allowed me to follow my dream.
Perhaps the most promising rider to come out of Ireland recently.
There's been lots of low points in my career. There's lots of low points in everybody's life, and especially in sport, I guess. I sadly lost a very good horse in 2003 at the European Championships. It probably didn't get any lower than that. But in hindsight, that was a defining moment really. It was a case of give up and do something else, or battle on and be resilient. We like to run things in a very a simple way here. We like to treat horses as horses. We don't, we don't mess around with routine, or when a plan is made at the beginning of the week. The primary thing for us is that we've got happy horses and they're enjoying it, and we work them all individually and accordingly. Our success in the last few years, again, I think a lot of it is, there's a lot of factors. Primarily sticking at it and not giving up during the low times. And then there's lots of luck, just having the right horses. I've got an amazing team behind me. My wife Amy probably does 90% of it. Girls in the yard that are dedicated to the horses and dedicated to my career. And lastly, but most importantly, we've got very good owners, very, very supportive owners on board. And without the owners, there would be no show.
I'm Amy O'Connor, Austin's wife, mum to Alfie and Wilf, our two boys, and I am a chiropractor half the time, I'm a mum half the time, and I ride the young horses at home. So in terms of the business at home, Austin rides the horses and I do everything else. He probably wouldn't agree, but yeah. So how does Austin differ from other professionals? I think probably not all of them obviously love their horses, but Austin, I think, particularly is a real horseman. He's grown up with horses, his father loved horses, mother, so, and for him, he always had to think about the longevity of a horse. He didn't have a string of 40 competition horses, so when you've only got one at the very top, like he had for a long time with Colorado Blue, everybody looks after their horses, but he probably took extra special care. Had a little niggle in her leg as an 8-year-old, and he gave him just probably twice as long to recover than most people would, sort of being desperate to get out and get good results. I think the hardest part of eventing, making it a career business, I think Austin's always had to put it as a business first, and his career probably second in terms of making it financially work. Austin's, he does a little bit of teaching and does a lot with our working pupils, but really it is the producing horses and selling them that we've managed to do quite well between us. And I think having, we always choose the horses together. They've got to be pretty for me to like them. They've got to have the good temperament for Austin to like them. So I think as a team, we tend to pick hopefully some really nice young horses that we've, produced and sold at the right time in their careers. And I think sort of having the boys makes us always try and put it financially first. And, but I think this is the first time Austin's had some really good top horses that, touch wood, we haven't got to sell, and he can continue to produce, trying to get them to the top.
Yeah, looking to the future, I wish I was 20 years older, or 20 years younger, I should say, because we've got some lovely young horses coming through. I've got Izaza, who was well placed at Bramham, and she's also listed for the Olympics, so as a backup. And we've got a half-sister of Colorado Blue called Ventura Rock, who will step up to advance this summer and hopefully go to Blenheim. Then, we've got, we're in a lucky position. We've got great people behind us. We've got a nice young novice horse called Chico Blue, who's now done a couple of novices as well. So we've a lovely spread of horses, and looking forward to what they may bring. So Colorado Blue, he's been a member of the family for a long time. He's 15 years of age now. And it's a funny story, really, that 20 something years ago I actually bought his dam. So before he came on the scene, I actually owned and rode his mother. And obviously then Kate Jarvie took her on, and I've had a great relationship with Kate. And obviously she bred Colorado Blue, and I've known him from day one, obviously, from the first day set a saddle onwards. He's always been a very, very nice horse. If you asked me 12 years ago, was he going to be a 5-star winner? Was he going to, all going well, participate in 2 Olympic Games? That I wouldn't have been able to answer, but he had a lot of good credentials, and he had the right attitude, which again, whether it be the horse or the athlete, he was determined and resilient, which is 70% of getting him to the top. I think what's made Colorado Blue as good as he is obviously he's got heaps of ability, but he gets out of bed every morning and he wants to work, he wants to please, and he's just got a serious heart. I suppose from last year onwards in particular, Salty sort of gripped the imagination of the public to a degree. I guess being grey is a big help, but also I think, from all his 5 stars in these Olympics, he's one of the few horses that jumps the last fence cross country, gallops to the line with his ears pricked, and I guess that tells its own story, and I guess people latched onto that.
I'm lucky enough that I get to ride him on the flat a bit. He can sometimes be like super lazy and unenthusiastic, and you think, how can this horse go so fast? And then you put your leg on and he just goes from gear 2 to gear 6 in an instant. So I think that's his forte, and the fact that he's so rideable and snaffle-mouthed, and that Austin can make the time because he's so adjustable, and he's just got, the gallop of a Ferrari. But I always say, he must be just the bravest horse, and Austin's like, actually, he's not that naturally brave, but he just has, never been cross-country with anyone other than Austin, and they just have that special bond where they know exactly what each one's asking of the other.
I think when I get on Salty, and you're at the start of a cross-country course, there's obviously there is that confidence. We know each other so well, we're a partnership, and I just have to tell myself whatever is out there, we have met, we have jumped, and we can deal with. Yeah, 2023 was certainly a roller coaster. We had a great Badminton. It was very close to being even greater, without sounding greedy. Then the next target was, we obviously missed the Europeans in favour of Burghley. I think there was a number of things. I think, perhaps the rider and the horse, it wasn't to be. There was a number of factors that why the weekend didn't work out. And that was a hard one to take. The expectation was high. If it was a betting contest, I'd probably gone in there as one of the top 2 or 3 favourites, and I was on my ass before I knew it. I think after Burghley, once a week had gone by after Burghley, and the disappointment, and I mean, we were disappointed. I think psychologically then, I put myself in a better place, a different place. Didn't change much, went back to basics perhaps, took a little bit of pressure off. And people would say, you're going to Maryland, my God, you're putting some pressure. I never felt an ounce of pressure. Well, I couldn't feel any more disappointment, whatever happened, than Burghley anyway. So Went there, had a great crew of people, came to Maryland, and I think whatever happened in Maryland, win, lose or draw, it wouldn't have, I was prepared for whatever, and maybe that's what brought out the best performance.
The lowest I've seen Austin is after Burghley. I think there definitely was a big expectation that he could deliver a big result from everybody else, but also from him. I think he struggled to sort of get out of that low for a few days when we got home, but then I really believe in fate, and fate played its hand that we met this lovely chap walking the course, and at Burghley, after he'd done a disappointing dressage when he got the fly or something in his ear, and he shook his head all the way through his dressage test, and he said, "Oh, you should come to Maryland." And at that point Austin still had a job to do, and then it went wrong on the cross country, and then we had an email from him on the Monday morning saying, "Would you like to come?" So yeah, I think it was meant to be.
The whole week at Maryland was very special. I think what made Maryland was the way we were looked after, the hospitality. There was that feeling from all of us that went from the UK. They actually wanted us there, and they would have done anything for us, and we were looked after and treated really well. I think not going number one, first to go cross country, I don't think I was in that position by accident. So to pull that off in the fashion that we did, I think that was quite a serious buzz.
Not only was he first to go, but Austin's never been to the venue. He'd never ridden around the cross-country course. So I said to him, I think you're going to have to walk this a lot of times to absolutely know every inch of this course. So we started walking sort of right as soon as we arrived. Big fences. We were walking the course at the end, and Ian Stark said, jokingly, how much have I got to pay to jump clear around with 5 time faults? The dressage was okay. It was there or thereabouts.
He looks much more positive here today. So I saw Austin and wife yesterday. So he's in a really good frame of mind. He's put Burghley behind him.
And then cross country was, he was his normal magical self. And then I think he was 4th going into show jumping. Probably thought a couple ahead of him might have a fence. So if he was very lucky and he jumped well, sort of 2nd was as good as it was going to get. Then obviously had the really scary moment at the Liverpool fence, taking a stride out. But yeah, so that was amazing. And then it was just watching and waiting. William had a fence, and then I thought Ollie will never have 2. And Austin was standing in sort of the pocket next to the entrance, not watching. And I was watching through a little gap between lots of photographers, and I saw him have the first fence, and I turned around to Austin and said, he's had a fence. And then I heard the crowd make a gasp, and he'd had another one. So then he'd won, and it was amazing. Yeah.
Yeah, I came out with this quote of badminton. Having finished 3rd, it won't be long before we have an Irish 5-star winner. I believe that, and I suppose, yeah, I guess I was probably deep down talking about myself. But also, I think within a country, within a nation, I think Irish results have been pretty unbelievable in the last year and a half, and which is great for eventing in Ireland, great for the individuals involved. And I think, like any sport, it's a bit of belief, and success breeds success. And I think that's starting to happen in quite a big way now within Irish event riders. I think looking back over my career, my 20 plus years in England, closer to 30, I wouldn't change a thing. I think, the success and the good times we're having and have had, they've been earned, and it's a long road. It's been a rocky road. of all sports, this is definitely a sport of that, you know, experience counts, and I say that perseverance and sticking at it is all contributing, hopefully, to what's happening at the moment.
I think it has changed for Austin. I think coming here, and we've got amazing hacking, and probably the horses get to be horses a bit more. And yeah, I think the sort of the naturalness of it being here and having that sort of calm feeling that, you know, this is our place, and he spends a lot of time farming, and, you know, having the boys sort of just splits your priorities. And yeah, probably the horses being the right age and Salty coming into his element, and then you get, you know, you had that brilliant result at Badminton, so then I think the belief starts.
Looking ahead to the next 5 or 10 years, what I'd like to achieve. I'm not so sure it's even what I'd like to achieve now, but it's a big stage. We've got Amy and I, we've got Alfie and Wilf, and they're becoming young men very quickly. So that's very important to see how their development goes. And we're very lucky to be here in a great property in Oxfordshire. So there's a massive interest in developing and improving that. And touch wood, staying fit and healthy, we can keep progressing with these nice young horses coming through, and hope a few more come through the gate.
Having the children helps you realise sort of what's ultimately important. You know, you can have a bad day at the office, but you come home to them and they're very naive to that, and I have a huge amount of, you know, gratitude to him, because I know he was really set on going to Badminton with Salty this year. But obviously I've never been able to go to Olympics with him, because Tokyo was, you know, he went out as reserve, and we had Wilf, who was only a few months old, and it was COVID, and Alfie, our eldest one, who's 6, sort of was desperate for Daddy to go to the Olympics. So I think a lot of him, you know, really putting everything in getting to Paris is for his family.
I think having family life is probably a great distraction in a way that, you know, I can't, well, I'm not saying that I was ever obsessed, but I certainly can't be obsessed about the horses and obsessed about a day's competition, because, like, there's no point talking to them about my bad days there. Telling them about the good day lasts for about a minute in a way. So yeah, I think it's a great leveler, and it just keeps everything normal.
He is so passionate about helping our staff. You know, we often have lots of working pupils who are here with their own horses. He will often help them at an event and give himself 10 minutes to warm up, because he's put his time into them. And I think, you know, if somebody's loyal to Austin, they get all his loyalty back.
So I suppose if I was asked my advice on a young person wanting to make a career of this, my one piece of advice, wherever it may be, is just walk before you can run, serve your time, do your apprenticeship in a proper way, because you'll just, you know, there's a lot to learn. You never stop learning, but don't try and fast track things. Into investing in people is very important to me. You know, people invested and trusted me and supported me and got me to this point, and it's very much high in my priority list to, you know, to give back as much as I can to other people, and sometimes it doesn't work out, and it's as big a disappointment as anything. But people I've mentored and people I help that I know are dedicated, there's no better satisfaction than that for me, because we all start somewhere, and if somebody's got that drive and dedication, I want to support and help them as much as I was helped.